10 minutes ago on Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, the party had made their way to basically the front gates of Balinor, found some information they needed, found some more information that they, well, didn't really know they'd be getting, but, were able to insightfully navigate a conversation with one of the guards, learning about some quote-unquote wild folk that have been giving people some issues around here. And then, after learning about all that, made their way to the warehouse district, where the business who's not really stolen so much as just, could you even call them abandoned goods when the people who quote-unquote abandoned them died?
I mean, the people who killed them also abandoned them.
That's fair. Anyway, looking to return some stuff that was left at the side of the road in the custody of some corpses. Here you are, standing in front of the Haman Industries warehouse.
No, we went
Well,
inside
actually, no,
and there
you
was
were
an old
inside.
lady.
Yeah, sorry, that was 10 minutes ago. It's a long time. There's an old lady who is writing, filling things out, and then Tormilla was like, "Okay, I'm gonna wait until you're done."
Yep.
And so, probably this full 10 minutes has been spent with an old lady writing things at a desk.
That's fine. I have patience.
just walk in and like stare daggers at her until she's done.
No, I'm looking around. I mean, I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm being a nice guest. I'm not
Okay.
staring at her while she writes.
All right. It is like a couple minutes though, and then finally she, has visibly reached like the bottom of the page and puts the quill away for a moment and looks up and says, "Yes."
Yes. Hi, I'm Tormilla. We ran across one of your wagons on the side of the road, with a few people that were less than healthy.
Indeed, they were.
So we wanted to come and first of all let you know, and second, return at least some of the more expensive things that were on the wagon.
I see. Well, on behalf of our company, I would first of all like to thank you for your honesty and willingness to return these items to us. And she kind of pauses and says, "So, when you say not so healthy, forgive me, am I to understand that they've been, well, what's the proper term?"
On a scale of 1 to dead, they're dead.
Ah, I see.
I do a stink eye to Bungdo.
I mean,
Happy. I'm sure.
well, I wouldn't say I'm, enthused to have all this death, but it was quite entertaining.
Okay. And she says, "Oh, well, all right. One moment." And she, opens up one drawer of the desk, and you see her like unfurl a tiny roll of parchment, scribbles a quick note, tears it off, and snaps a finger, and you watch as it just like disappears. She says, someone will be with you momentarily that's better equipped to handle such things.
Okay. Should we just wait here? Is there like are there chairs in the waiting room?
I think there are like a few reasonably nice sofas and that sort of thing.
All right, I'll
So
go
you
hop
could
on
say
the
this is
sofa.
a classy place.
Yeah, I would say so.
Do they have free water or crackers that I could munch upon?
There's probably a pitcher of water, and I think there's probably like a bowl of fruit. That seems appropriate for the culture.
Are there star fruits?
That is a good question now, isn't it? How exotic is the taste of these elves? Not very exotic, no.
Shit elves! Alright. I eat the fruits.
He
just
grabs
all of
the
them.
whole bowl and eats it.
I
Yeah.
grab a fruit before he devours all of them.
So Maya's just like sitting there crunching on an apple, and then you've got like Bungdo just shoveling handfuls of fruit into his mouth.
Assorted fruits, like just picks up an orange and just eats the whole orange.
Just takes a bite out of it.
Yeah, I can imagine Bungdo doing that. Eats a whole
Turns
peach.
bear form, eats the entire thing.
Turns
Eats
bear
the
form,
bowl.
eats the bowl. Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, in a matter of minutes, you see a younger elf, male, with kind of darker hair, make his way in through a door back behind the older woman's writing desk, and you can see from the moment he walks in, he's got that look to him like, okay, we get it, you're important, right? Wearing super fancy clothes. There's like, golden thread kind of interlaced into some of the designs on his fine coat. But yeah, he walks in, and he's just got that that air about him that's like, oh yes, I always keep my composure and deal with all visitors the utmost of decorum. And so he walks in and sees Bungdo with like fruit smeared all over his beard. And the rest of the group. And he says, and am I to understand that you are our most honored guests that have returned some misplaced property to us?
Well, we have the property. I'm not quite sure where I should put it.
Plus,
Of
there's
course.
a lot more left in the cart.
And I think we can assume that you give him kind of the rundown of the situation, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Whole truth, too. Exactly how many
Okay.
pelts we took, everything.
Okay. Yeah, and so he says, well, I must applaud your thoroughness and your honesty. It must be nearly 500 gold worth of pelts. But yes, suffice to say, you have our thanks, and if there's anything that the Viaman family can do to begin to repay you for your kindness, you need but ask.
I pitch him the fair Tinker Mercantile and offer to be one of their merchants.
Okay.
Still need to go back to fucking Strasza, though. I haven't been able to deliver that package for like months.
I do want to give them all the furs and the 7 gold.
I think he says, don't Sorry about that. I think that might have been, property of the employees.
Well, can you pass it on to their families? I can't.
Uh, he says, I'm. They will be taken care of. I think that will be the least of their concerns.
Okay.
Also, we are looking for a very powerful cleric. We were told that there is a very powerful cleric somewhere out in the forest.
Hmm. To what end, if you don't mind me asking?
Looking to revive a fallen comrade of ours.
I see. It's quite potent magic you're in search of, then.
Yes.
Well, I have heard stories of one such individual, but by all accounts that I've heard among my people, he has gone. Not passed on to our knowledge, but it seems as though he was, well, there in his dormitory temple one day, and the next, well, no one ever heard from him again.
Was he in?
Well, can you at least direct us to this temple?
Of course. And he gives you directions to let's see here. Checking my notes, cause reasons. Oh, we lost Becca.
What? Oh, she died?
She's coughing. She probably left. So
Yeah.
she
Yeah. Welcome back.
can... Hooray! She leaves.
Okay. So he directs you to the Temple of Eldath, Goddess of Peace, located near the center of the city.
How do you spell Eldath? Okay, cool. Sorry, typing. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
And I'll say, well, what was his name?
He says he seems to be referred to more by various titles depending on how people knew of him, but those who have given him a name in the stories seem to call him Kios.
Kios.
I'll be hitting you with that in chat in just a second.
Okay. Hey, that's how I thought it was spelled.
Kiosk.
Kia.
But the K is silent. And invisible. Stealth K.
Instead of a circle K, it's stealth K.
Yeah. Tactical Assault K.
Sneaky K.
Anyway.
Anyway. Okay. And you said he was there and then just gone?
From what I've heard, yes. I do not follow the realm of religion all that closely myself. But that's what the stories say, and if they're to be believed, he's been missing from his post for some 100 years or more.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time and for the information.
Thank you very much for doing what you could to recover our misplaced goods. Again, if there's anything further I can help you with, you need only reach out. You could leave a message here. Or, of course, you could feel free to look me up directly. My name is Sewer.
How do you spell that?
Getting there.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was easy.
Yeah. I like to make sure I paste them in chat for my own record, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And he, I think, at that point, he kind of realizes that there hasn't been a formal introduction and, kind of makes the rounds, shaking hands and all of that. Introducing himself as Sur Viaman.
Gotcha.
For the record, my hand is sticky and covered in apple.
Of course. I would expect nothing less. All right. Yeah. So, if there is anything else you guys would like to do during this encounter, let me know. Otherwise, we can kind of, montage it to whatever you want to do next.
Yeah, I'm good with montaging it. I'm going to head
Yeah.
to the chapel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or temple.
Yep.
I suppose Bungdo can tag along.
I suppose. Okay. So, you follow the directions given to you by your new, rather well-off friend, Sewer. And, you find yourselves in sort of a large square in town. And looking around, there are actually quite a few temples set up in this particular area. One with sort of a gear emblem emblazoned on the front of the church. Another with a picture of a hand pointing upward, outlined in fire. But eventually, you find the iconography that you were told to look for, which is the image of a waterfall plunging into a still water. And it is in this building where I assume you walk in. And you enter and you see actually a recreation of that icon that you saw above the front door. Through some careful construction and engineering here, a still pool set up in the very front portion of the temple, through which, seemingly just through a hole in the middle, flows a small constructed waterfall. And looking around at the mostly blues and whites that adorn the inside of this building, you can see a number of followers smell sort of like airy incense kind of mingling with the other scents from outside of fresh food and all sort of thing. And almost immediately, as you make your entrance, kind of take all of this in, you see their elven woman slowly stride up to you, and in a very calm, kind of level tone voice, she just said, "Greetings, visitors. What brings you to the temple of our Lord Eldath this day?"
Bungdo rolls his eyes, but like sneakily.
Sleight
Okay.
of hand.
I rolled
Sleight
my
of
eye.
eye?
Sleight of eye. I'll step up and say hello. My name is Tormilla. And before I get too far into this, what religion was like? Who did she follow again?
Eldath.
No, Tormilla.
Oh, Tormilla, you mean?
Tormilla.
Yes.
She's a cleric of Moradin, if I recall correctly.
That's what I thought. I wasn't sure. So, okay, that is marked down. Because I kept wanting to refer to it, but I'm like, shit, I can never remember who it is. So, okay, I'll step up and say, hello. My name is Tormilla. I am a follower and a cleric of Moradin. My friends and I are here on a quest to find. We were told about a very powerful cleric that could possibly have powers to bring back our since expired friend. And we had heard that the rumors were from here.
Yeah, she nods and says, more coming in search of cure for the most ancient of mortal afflictions. Well, I apologize for the loss that I'm sure you have endured. And she kind of looks down and solemnly, reflectively about that for a moment, but she brings her eyes back up and says, unfortunately, Father Kios has not been present in the temple for over a century now.
Century, Jesus.
Well, does anybody happen to have any idea what happened to him?
If I had heard anything, I would certainly let you know. But, well, it would seem that one night he lay down to go to sleep, and the next, he was nowhere to be found.
And
No one saw him leave. There were no disturbances that I was aware of in that night. He simply disappeared.
Was it just him that left, or did his belongings leave?
Only Father Kios himself.
So himself and the shirt he was wearing, like the clothing he was wearing.
By my understanding, yes.
Did he have like a spell casting purpose?
She says, I don't know the specifics, but many who are blessed with the power of Eldath use pendant or some similar representation of her icon as their spellcasting focus. I would imagine the same is true for Father Kios.
So that probably was also gone with him if he was wearing it.
To my knowledge, yes.
Are you using his room now? Or is it still as he left it?
It has been largely undisturbed. Well, not I myself, but members of the clergy did perform an investigation, attempting to learn any details of his disappearance and discern what could be discerned, but ultimately that proved to be of little use.
I don't know. It's been 100 years, but can we look? Would you mind?
Or, while we're on the subject of him, can you describe
Just a
him?
second.
Can you know, are there any pictures of him, paintings, anything like that? Because, I could attempt to send him a message.
She says, I'm sure I could find some representation of him. He is, after all, one of the most revered figures in the Church of Eldath. As for investigating the room, I would have to clear that with my superiors. It's something of a, in the eyes of some, a holy site, site of a miracle. But
I understand.
thank you. And she says, if you'll accompany me to the library, or I can an image or something that will assist you.
Side note too, how am I feeling about walking into this place? Like, does it have like a holy feel? It doesn't feel like it's been tainted or anything like that, does it?
Oh, like just the whole area?
Yeah, well, just to get a feel like of walking into this church, does it feel like it's, does it have that like a tainted feel or like a kind of a
No, it doesn't.
okay?
Um,
And I'll blow
no,
I'll blow a divine channel divinity for that if I need
yeah.
to.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, there's nothing that seems to indicate any sort of corruption or defilement of the ground.
Okay. All right, so at least I can be at peace with that. Okay, thank you.
Yep. And as a matter of fact, this is a good aligned deity.
Okay.
In the house of, so to speak. So it's very familiar, maybe even kind of a comforting sensation being back in that sort of setting.
Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah, I will. She said to follow her then.
Yeah, just to go to the library and visual record of Father Kios.
Gotcha. All right, I'll follow her.
Okay. And so yeah, you're led down a hall into a sizable room lined with shelves from floor to ceiling. Few members of the clergy just kind of shuffling about, reshelving books and just maintaining order. Yeah, it takes a few minutes, and she has to kind of flip through a few volumes, but eventually she is able to show you a picture of Father Kios, who even 100+ years ago. I think the disappearance would have been like 112 years ago. He looked very old even then. Like, I mean, it's pretty common knowledge that elves tend to age quite gracefully. But at a certain point, I mean, I'm sure
You're old.
yeah, I'm sure he aged gracefully for whatever age he was. Like, if you were to look at somebody that wasn't a full-blooded elf that was as old as he is in the depiction, you'd probably be looking at like a pile of bones.
Yeah. So he's fucking old.
Yes.
All right. And this was 150 years ago.
112.
112. Okay.
Yes.
Still a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in seeing the picture, is that enough that I could possibly try to cast Sending?
Let's see. What are the requirements for sending?
I will just post it.
With which you are familiar? I don't know about that one. I think it might take a little bit more than that.
So I would have to actually know him. Like, could I read about him? Would that work if I did some research on him?
I think it means personally familiar.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just wasn't sure.
No, that's fair.
Well, in that case, can I cast this on him?
Well.
I'm kidding. But okay, no, that's fine. I'll say, well, I can't get a good message out to him yet. I'd have to know more about him. Perhaps, do you have anybody that knew of him or knew him?
A number of the clergy here were already at work in the temple during his later years here. I could put you in contact with a few of them, see if perhaps they could be of any help.
Okay, yes, that would be lovely. And I
Alright.
greatly appreciate your hospitality.
Oh, it is merely a reflection of the grace of Eldath upon us. We simply do what we can to pass on the peace and joy that she has provided us to the rest of the world. And so yeah, I think she kind of gets you guys set up wherever you'd like to wait.
Are there more bowls of fruit?
I'm sure there are more bowls of fruit somewhere. Yeah, and she goes and returns with a handful of all older-looking members of the clergy of Eldath. Still nowhere near as aged as Kios looked in the depictions in the book, but certainly getting up there. Like these are elves who are actually starting to have like gray hair and stuff.
Which means fucking ancient.
Yeah.
So she came back with a fucking dozen of them?
Like a handful, I said.
Oh. I thought you said a half dozen of them. I'm like, what? Okay. I guess I'll say, well, have any of you tried to essentially cast Sending to him? Send him a message?
One of the one of the older folks steps forward and this like older elven guy. He says, "Yes, it was among the first things that we tried, and we seem to be unable to form any sort of connection to him, which, by my understanding, could bear a few implications. Either he is well and truly gone from this plane, or something is preventing that connection from being formed, though he is still here somewhere."
Looking for the spell to make sure I have it. Yes. The next question is, has anybody tried to scry?
Another one steps forward, another older woman. She says, "Again, that was one of the first courses of action, and yet again we found the same result. Unable to form any sort of connection to him."
Huh. Have they tried, like, having an animal sniff them out? I guess it'd probably be impossible after 100 years, but who knows? Maybe they have, like, elven dogs that can smell something across a century.
Like a tracking spell or tracking spell?
Has
See if
anybody
you can
tried
find
scrying on the
some.
necklace? Oh,
That's-
it's a creature. You can't scry on. Yeah.
I mean, there is a locate object.
Yeah, but that's within 1,000 feet.
I mean, maybe he, like, fell down a cliff and no one could find him. 100
Maybe
feet
they have
away
a
exactly.
secret basement.
Maybe.
Could always locate item after looking for him in, like, the most likely place.
I don't know. Okay. Let's see. I don't know of any. I don't have any other ideas.
Well, what else did you try?
They pretty much proceed to run down the list of any, locate person, locate object, any of those divination type spells that might give some sort of assistance in locating him, and it seems none of them were able to find their target. So it would seem magical means do not get the job done in this case. Obviously, people searched far and wide for, basically in any place they could think of that he even had the most remote connection to. And turned up nothing. His last known location was right there in the temple in his quarters, getting ready to go off to bed. And that was the last anyone ever saw him.
And, Eldath gave you no clue?
One of them says, if Eldeth has provided any guidance on the matter, none of us have been wise enough to interpret it.
Did he have any special places that he liked to go? Or did he stay mainly around this area?
He predominantly stayed in the temple. Given his advanced age, many deemed it unwise to leave him unattended for too long. Though he did occasionally like to venture out to just the edge of the city and gaze out upon the woods.
And nobody had attended to him at all that night?
No, by all accounts, he was alone in his room.
Where is his room? Is it on... Is it like what's... Is it on a story at all? Or is it on the first floor?
His quarters had been somewhat recently moved. Again, a consideration given his age. They had been brought down to the first floor of the temple. He elected to cede the dormitory space of the senior clergy member to the next in line, as for his own health. It's getting to be a bit of a risk traveling up and down stairs every day.
Did he enjoy this constant company?
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Well, some clergymen I know like some time in private, usually to spend with their God. I was just wondering if he ever had time without someone watching over him.
Yes, most of the time he spent in his alone, and even on the occasions that he would venture out the edge of the city, he would make his way there with another member or two of the church, and often those who accompanied him would be sent away for a few moments as meditated or prayed. So he was not under constant supervision, in the sense that he never had any privacy.
Is it possible he just ran away?
I feel it would be difficult for an individual with an age of well over 1,000 years simply disappear without a trace.
I mean, he would have had a long time to plan it.
I think you get like a single chuckle from one of the people there.
Had to ask.
He didn't have any enemies or anybody, did he?
They look around and kind of confer amongst them. As far as we know, he was universally beloved by any who were familiar with him, his works.
Well, I don't have a damn clue then.
Yeah. I have a few things that I would like to try, but I would need a day to prepare them.
Of course, take what time you need. I understand the desire to find Father Kios, but I would simply ask that you don't Don't put too much hope in it. It's been over 100 years after all.
Well, at this point, it's still the best hope we have.
Kind of a solemn nod in response. And as dark and depressing as that is, I think that's where we'll end it for tonight.
Oh shit! It's already 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.